All right, I'm still in the middle of making a small adjustment, so let me square this up and let me get the rest of my notes together. Should be another minute or two, and then and then we can get started. I have the link to the song that's being used right there in the chat. If not, it'll be in the description. So that's always a thing. Actually, let me restart this for you real fast, and then, like I said, I'll see you guys literally in like just a minute. Like, how did all you guys? How'd you guys find me? Is this supposed to be like? Okay, yeah, like, yeah. How'd you guys all find me? Because like this is supposed to be like the secret Fight Club, like, stream. Wasn't expecting a bunch of people to pop up outside of the usual suspects. I'm glad you're all here though. I'm just curious how people found it. Well, fun times to be had, I suppose. Anyway, let me play this for you guys, and I'll be right back. Word of mouth. Ah, I appreciate that. All right, here we go. let's go ahead and get into the task at hand. Sorry about that. This should have probably have happened yesterday, which was kind of the initial plan, and yeah, life kind of got in the way of that. So, welcome to the stream, test stream, of course, because we're not professionals here, and like I said, if I'm not coming through loud enough, or if the song is too loud, let me know, and we will adjust that as we can. Okay, so what do we have on the chopping block for today? First off, welcome to everybody who is here. Big ups to, I see Agent Proper in there. Big ups to Sunspot Gallery. Speaking of which, actually, I just saw his post. It looks like he's gonna be retiring from the game. All right, cool, sweet. Looks like Sunspot's gonna be retiring from the game, which is understandable. To be honest with you, obviously he'll still be part of the community or whatnot, or he'll still be around, like, what I'm saying, and he'll probably do more of his Tekken streams, more of his gaming streams and whatnot, but just retiring from the whole situation with Bacon Sweat, it takes a lot out of you, to be honest, especially the more and more that you deal with DSP and his bullshit. So it's understandable, to be honest with you. He had a great run. You know what I'm saying? Like, he had a great run. Like, he had a great concept and he ran with it. But it's so tedious, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, the stress level, I would assume, is absolutely huge. Which is kind of goes back to one of the things I like to reference from a battle rap standpoint, is that you have to give people the roses while they're here, man. Because, like, you're walking a very thin line with this DSP shit. It doesn't take much to have you teeter over from it being fun, right, and having a good time, to you absolutely hating him, or even hating what you do and it having a negative effect on you. It weighs on you quite a bit and whatnot. And the thing is that's what DSP wants. That's just the nature. That's just DSP's nature. To be honest with you, he puts all of his weight on you and he wears you down. And either you conform to the pignosis, or he hopes you'll just leave him alone. To be honest, it's one of the two. And that's the reason why the content, at least DSP's content, has suffered over the years, is he's purposely tried to dumb it down to where he would hope people would be discouraged from doing it. Which is ridiculous, because he's fucking his own brand over by doing so. And it comes back down to something I've been kind of thinking about over the past week. What will the market be willing to bear, right? So when you look at it from like a stock standpoint or whatnot, like, how far is the market willing to put up with it before it either booms or busts? And as you guys have seen on YouTube, for any of you who have been around, he's been, it's actually good to kind of step away from DSP's content for a little while, because it becomes taxing as shit. God dog, it becomes taxing. So there's nothing wrong with taking a reprieve from it. Well, my bad. Back to my point. How much will the market bear? On YouTube, it's just like I told you guys. He comes here, he's dead. He's effectively dead. DSP Gaming the brand is done. Like, he's done. For all intents and purposes. Twitch was nothing more than an illusion. And as you guys I'm sure you guys have witnessed over the last couple weeks, you're seeing how this illusion has become delusion, and how he was actually able to fool himself, from the subs to the bits to the views. When you look at everything that he was doing on Twitch, it was essentially Twitch just propping him up. We talked about that on last week's stream. So now that he's over here, it's a rip. Like it's a fucking rip. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's actually going to be forced to try, or he's going to eventually go back to Twitch to get his affiliate, because I don't think he'll ever get managed again. I could be wrong. It wouldn't be the first time. But I don't think I think he's waiting for his affiliate status. But there you go. He's going to end up losing his mind before that probably ever happens. He's going to end up cracking. And that's clearly what's going on now. That he can't deal with it. It's not just the money. It's also the attention. It's also the praise, if you will. He needs it both. He needs both of them. Can't have just one or the other. He needs both. And He's waiting for this whole gifted memberships on YouTube. Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't happen. But how long is he willing to hold out for that? And then this idiot exposed himself. Let's see here. Something about stream elements and behind the scenes tips. Oh, you mean like how on Streamlabs people could go ahead and you mean like on Streamlabs, right? When people could go ahead and give you like behind the scene tips, and the only thing that would basically be able to verify that or even give credence that it existed was the tips leaderboard that he got rid of almost immediately afterwards. Oh no, that's hurtful. But now he admitted to he's getting, tips behind Streamlabs that doesn't, or Stream Elements, that doesn't always pop up on stream. Like anybody was shocked by that whatsoever. And then people have been talking about for the last couple of weeks about how there's like maybe 5 or 6 different names, more than likely sock accounts, that every time they tip, there is no on-stream acknowledgement for that either. Phil has to go through like another means to actually shout them out. It's all suspected shit. And as all that went about, I guess we'll get into our first point about he needs $9,000 a month to like make his bills. How does that work when it says on his bankruptcy documents that, his bankruptcy documents that he only needs $5,000, or he's only making $5,000, I should say, and that's enough to cover all of his expenses with like a $35 deficit. I'm sure Agent Proper remembers and whatnot because he talked to Nick Rekieta about that. So we have this situation, and in those documents, by the way, because I went back and looked, it says right here that he was only making about $1,000 from YouTube, right? About $1,000 a month, between 500 to 1,000. It varies. That's what he told Nancy on the call, the 341, and he makes about 4,000 from Twitch. And then you have, at that time, you had something like $300 to $500 from Patreon, then whatever he was making off Teespring, and then who knows about whatever behind the scenes money that he didn't claim. Now, really, really fast, if you go back to when Nick went over the 341 call, he had said that he thought Phil wasn't recording, or he's not paying money on his tips, basically, and probably not Patreon, which isn't too far off of the mark, to be very honest with you. But I don't even think that's even the most important part of it, that he's not claiming his tips. Because remember, he treats that shit like the restaurant. That's why he uses the restaurant analogy. For whatever strange reason, like, you don't think waiters and waitresses and bartenders don't claim their tips on their taxes? They may not claim all of it, but they claim a majority of it, which kind of coincides back to why he keeps pushing tip me, tip me, tip me over everything else, because he's not claiming all that on his taxes, which is why his tax documents looked all fucking jacked up in the first place. But which Rekieta said would get him in even more trouble in the long run. But let's go back to YouTube for a minute. How many of us really believe that he's only getting like $1,000 a month? And don't be wrong, his views and everything are absolute fucking shit, for sure. And he's probably pulling in between 500,000 and 600,000 views a month, because you got to take his whole library into account. But $1,000, that's it. And then it went back to something that I had read on the forums about how Noel and a few other people had pointed out that how he was just skirting the line on what he was making in certain categories just so he could get through, which makes his whole bankruptcy document seem even more fraudulent. If he needs $9,000 a month, here's the main point of all that. If he needs $9,000 a month, where's it all going? Like, what's it all going to? Even from a business expense standpoint, like, where is it at? Which is one of the main things that was pointed out in the 341 call by the guy who was representing Citibank, or whatever you want to call that situation, where he pointed out, he's like, the guy says that he makes $5,000 a month and he has $5,000 a month of business expenses. Can he itemize that for me? Can he tell me exactly where all of that is going? And Phil couldn't, because if you listen to the initial call, they were asking him what he had for assets, and then he said, oh, well, it goes a little bit here, and it goes a little bit here, and it goes a little bit here. But then his attorney was also like, oh, well, he's writing off personal expenses off as business expenses. But even then, Darkside Phil isn't spending $5,000 a month in personal expenses outside, without going outside of what is considered the norm. So yet again, where is all that going for? Even, okay, good point. Even with all of the food that he orders and whatnot, that's still not $5,000. So that's still not $5,000. So where's it all going? And then this whole nonsense about this $150 a stream or $300 a day, if you will. Let's see here. He says he needs that to pay all of his bills, but you guys, I'm sure you remember, over the last couple weeks, he keeps pushing this narrative that right before his day off, hey man, I need you guys to come through with this so I can have money on my day off for me and Catherine. Well, here's the thing. If you're so pressed for cash, why does you and Catherine needing money on your day off mean anything? Shouldn't all of that be swept to the side so you can handle your bills? And doesn't Catherine still have a job? Because there's speculation going around that she doesn't have a job, or she doesn't have a job where she used to be at, or whatever the case may be. That came from something he said earlier this week or last week, one of the two, where he said that, oh, well, she had to change positions different times. She had to change, yeah, she changed positions, all right. She had to change shifts different times, and so on and so forth. It almost sounds like she actually switched jobs. That's kind of what it really sounds like. So what happened at her original placement, or her original place of employment, I should say? Was it Kroger or whatever? What happened there? The same job, by the way, because I was looking over some older notes, that she had when she was supposedly working in Michigan before she moved over there with Phil. But then she was out of work for like 2 months because supposedly they had to get her new clothes and they had to do this and they had to do that. What job is going to let you have a leave of absence for 2 straight months? Let's see here. Oh, really? You let it slip that she actually got fired? Really? Yikes. Hurtful. Oh, and she's definitely incompetent. But goddamn. Okay, well then that explains that there. So, like I said, back to the subject at hand. Where's the $9,000? What is the $9,000 for? And where's it going? It sounds like it's compensation. It goes back to what I said a couple months ago, where when DSP says that he wants $200 a stream, that's back when we were doing that nonsense, or $400 a day. He actually wants $800. He wants $400 to cover, for the daily stream goal or whatever the case may be, so he can use that for his bills. But then he wants another $400 for him, for his me time or whatever you want to reference it. And to be honest with you, that whole $9,000 a month kind of reflects that to some degree, which he'll never get, because what is the draw? Like, what is it that he has that will allow him to do so? You cut the detractors out of your ecosystem, right? So now you don't have the detractor dollar anymore. Okay, fair enough. So now you have to rely on what? Less than a handful of piggies and even less whales to kind of come through, and they're starting to look like they're drying up. Where's Only Iced Coffee been? Oh, well, actually, I think I saw someone post like a screenshot of saying that he didn't want to draw any attention from the trolls, so that's why he hasn't been around or some silly shit like that. So, yet again, like, what's going on? Why is everything falling apart? Which leads me to believe, ladies and gentlemen, even though this is gonna surprise you, eventually, whether he was kicked out of the partner program on Twitch or not, it was gonna eventually all go stagnant, probably by September or October of this year anyway, whether he was on Twitch or not. To be honest. So what, you know what I'm saying? So yet again, where's all the money going? And here's another, and I see WWE champions, or WWE has been pointed out at least twice. All right, big ups to that. I'll definitely give you that one. Here's the question. If you guys are looking at his game ranking though, he's actually slipping. He's slipping in the game ranks, which means he's probably getting shitty pulls, of course, but also it seems like he doesn't have the money to compensate to get him back up into the higher rankings where he should be. So, which leads to the next piece of speculation, if you will. Does it have something to do with the foreclosure over there in Connecticut on the Connecticut condo? And has he tried to set up a deal with them where he makes like periodic payments to try to pay that down? Is that possible, or is that plausible? So there's oh really? Only Iced Coffee's Oh, no shit. Is that confirmed? Huh. Yikes. It doesn't matter. I mean, only Iced Coffee has like a shitload of fucking sock accounts anyway. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm not sure if anything's going to come out of the foreclosure either. I mean, like I said, the worst case scenario for Phil is they just sue him for like the $60,000 or whatever it is that they want to get out of him. To be honest, that's not even pig roach luck. It's just a matter of how much time do you want to actually put into that scenario, into that situation. So who could say? But like I said, just kind of something to think about. Maybe we'll come back to it. Let's see, what's the next nonsense he had? I didn't get a chance to watch the MLB stream, so I don't know what's going on with that, but supposedly he contradicted himself in a bunch of ways. So, who could say? No, it's not confirmed. Oh, okay, gotcha. Someone pulled up the hamburger helper situation. I'm gonna eventually go over that video, but, okay, so the hamburger helper thing. I mean, okay, let's go back in time for a minute, right? Let's go back to like mid 2017, right? After Panda left his bitch ass and he couldn't fend for himself whatsoever. He ended up fucking up and having that situation with War Dog Leader and whatnot because Phil's sitting there acting like a little bitch saying that he can't cook for himself and he's feeling sick and he's feeling depressed when really he was just getting himself drunk every goddamn night, which led to all that nonsense. And then him learning how to use being like 35 years old and 34, 35, learning how to use the washer for the first time. Just absolute madness. Point being, the situation with MLB, or not MLB, my bad. There was a meltdown, really. Okay, I want to get into that a little bit more. Let's get into the hamburger helper thing. How is it that a meal that most of us have learned how to make as a kid, a grown-ass man can't do? How was it that hamburger helper took you an hour, is what I'm hearing? It took him a fucking hour. Did he burn it? Because he said later on in that statement that he had to force himself, like he had to force it down. So how bad did you screw that up? If you cooked it for an hour, you burnt it, clearly. Unless you were cooking it at really, really, really low heat, which you'd be a tard for that. You heat up the beef, right? Or ground turkey or whatever the fuck, Cat has him eating or whatever. You add the shells and the seasoning to it. You know what I'm saying? Then you go ahead and let it simmer. It doesn't take long to do any of this. Even with the fat that is at the bottom, most people will just leave that in there, depending on how much you have, of course. You'll just leave it in there and whatnot and just mix everything else up and then let it simmer for like 10 minutes and then you're good. Then this idiot goes even further and says it was incredibly hot and he kept burning his lip on it or burning his mouth on it. What? Like, do you not know how to blow on your food? For someone who has sucked as much cock as Darkside Phil has, you don't know how to blow on your fucking food. Are you fucking serious? Okay, fair enough. So you keep burning your food. You keep burning your mouth. Then he goes ahead and essentially low-key blames Cat for not making the food for him in advance. But even before all the whole hamburger helper nonsense, Phil had said him and Catherine actually share their responsibilities in the house, meaning cooking, cleaning, so on and so forth. But if you actually listen to how he structured the statement, it's really, Catherine does all of the work, and I only do something for myself if I have to, mainly cooking. You know what I'm saying? We go ahead and heat up some hot dogs or some burgers or whatever the fuck, but essentially Catherine is the one who does all the work. He doesn't, remember how before, let's go back to 2017 again, when 2018, end of 2018, I'm sorry, or beginning of 2018, right before she moved in, he was like, we're going to finally share the responsibilities now. We're going to have that type of relationship where, we're actually helping each other and it's not all on one person. And when Catherine had visited before they actually moved in with each other, she said that she wanted to take care of everything. And he was like, no, I just learned how to wash clothes so I can do some of the laundry. I can do some of the dusting or whatnot. And, we can exchange it. And she said that, and he said she felt offended, like she couldn't handle the responsibility all on her own. Does anybody remember that or any of this? So how is it that we went from, yeah, exactly, never happened. Just like how what's the thing that happened with Mama Brunel? He memory hold the 10-year plan, right? Is that a thing too? So we forgot about that as well. But does anybody remember when DSP said all of these different things? And now all of a sudden, that all immediately got pissed away because that's what Darkside Phil does. But the point being is that this man is so inept, and he has the nerve to talk like he is a representative of the FGC or the fighting game or the gaming community in general, but this idiot can't even cook food for himself. He can't do laundry. Matter of fact, I can prove that he can't do laundry outside of, him learning how to do it at 35. Does any of you guys remember those custom blankets that him and Panda picked up? They were like video game blankets or something, hand woven, couple $100, whatever the case may be. One of those blankets was on his bed after Panda left him, and he was getting himself drunk every night, so he was just plopping on it. And as you know, a pig sweats, and when a pig sweats alcohol, it makes it even worse and it lingers. So he ended up stinking up this blanket. And he said he tried to wash it multiple times and he couldn't get the smell out. So he ended up just tossing it. Now, I don't know about you, right? But there's something called soaking, right, Phil? Like, you can do that for stuff that's like heavily soiled, which I'm sure all of his clothes are heavily soiled. So he should understand, or he should have some type of concept of what I'm saying. And so you can let it sit there, you know what I'm saying? Typically in hot water, because it is a blanket. So if it shrinks a little bit, no big deal. And whatnot in your detergent, and you can make it work out over time, certainly. But the smell was so bad, as he described, he had to wash this thing multiple times and he still couldn't get it out. Think about that. Or there you go. You know what I'm saying? You can also do a hot wash on it. Or he could have taken it to a dry cleaner or something. He could have done that. Oh, big up, system. What's going on? Oh, what's up, Bell? How's it going? Yet again, he could have done these different things as well to go ahead and rectify the situation. Instead, he just chose to toss it. So basically, the point I'm trying to make is he's completely and totally inept. So what really happened, ladies and gentlemen, as it pertains to that hamburger helper situation, is he burnt it. He was burnt it. Cat wasn't home. He had no choice and he ate it, which is interesting too, right? Because he said that there was no other alternatives in the house. There was no turkey burgers. There were no chicken sausages or hot dogs or whatever the fuck. There was nothing else in there to eat. He couldn't go ahead and heat up some of his legendary sauce that he only made a little while ago. There was nothing available at all. There was nothing. There's nothing at our convenience at all. Nothing within hoof length of hoof's reach, if you will, to heat up. Are you serious? And then, now that we're talking about the sauce, what was it? Oh. Why didn't he just go ahead and order in? Oh, well, no, Phil can't make sandwiches. Phil can't make sandwiches. Let's be honest. If it's not something that's from a deli and that he can go ahead and tell someone else to make for him to his specifications, it's not going to happen. That's why you don't even hear too much about turkey burgers anymore. And if you remember back then, yet again, this is like 2017-ish, he used to talk about how, oh, I have to rush downstairs, I'll make myself some turkey burger patties, and I cut myself lettuce, tomato, some red onions, some mayo, I toast the bun, and then, I eat it. But then he was like, it takes him almost an hour to clean up. How the fuck does it take you an hour to clean one pan and one plate that you ate off? And more than likely, that plate was paper. But it takes you an hour to cook and clean up. Are you fucking serious? Like, none of that shit made sense. None of that shit made fucking sense. When you go back and think of it, none of that shit ever made sense. At all. But yeah, like I said, he burnt it, I think. I think he burnt it and he got stuck with it. Because I don't think he wanted to throw it away because he didn't want Kat to know. To be honest. And then that doesn't make any sense either because Catherine, he said that he cooked in the afternoon, right? But doesn't Catherine work a morning shift where she leaves at like 6 or 7 o'clock and then she's back home by like 12 or 2 or some shit like that? So how was it that she couldn't do it? And wait a second, now I think about it, the hamburger helper that was made was like Italian shells or some silly shit, right? or one of those flavors, right? Italian themed. And he said that that was one of her favorites. So why wouldn't she cook it for you if that's one of her favorites? Then she could take some of that with her to work. Right? Which leads to our next situation. Phil talks about how, oh, it's not authentic Italian because there was no, not parsley. There was no oregano in it, and the cheese tasted like the shredding that comes off the end of a block or something. You do realize that the cheese was powder, right? You do realize that you could have added your own cheese after the fact, right? So you have options. Like, you didn't just have to sit there and deal with it. You could have added to it. You could have given it your own spin or own flavor on it. So what happened with that? I think he burnt it. Honestly, I think he burnt. Either he's lying about the whole situation itself, and he's just mad that it didn't come out the way it was advertised on the box. And Phil's a fucking gullible idiot, so I wouldn't be surprised by that. Or he burnt it. It's one of the two. Oh, and thank you with that, Robert. So this whole thing about Italian, right? Like, all the food he's been exposed to is more Americanized than actual authentic Italian. Like, you don't know what authentic Italian is because you've never had it, because you've never been to Italy, right? And you know what I'm saying? He's never seen, like, you know, I bet you anything, if you gave him something from Naples and you gave him something from, like, Tuscany, and if you probably gave him something from, like, mainland Italy, he probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference either which way. So what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? You've been eating Americanized shit. I mean, Jesus Christ, he probably had opportunities to have authentic Polish food, but he don't want to admit that he's really Polish like that. He always wants to cling on to being Italian, which is whatever, I guess. Oh my god. Yeah, so it's pretty terrible. It's pretty terrible. Let's see here. What else has been going on in the DSP universe outside of this $9,000 that doesn't make any sense? Oh, we're still bitching about this $9,000, sorry. But we're still complaining about the 900 gifted subs he had, like, what, over 2 months ago? Because he got knocked off of the out of the payment program on Twitch, what, April 20th? April 22nd? Okay, we're in the beginning of July, and we're still complaining about 900 subs? Or gifted subs, I should say? What does that mean? What is that worth? Let's see. Patreon's going up. I mean, gradually, but it's going up. And also, that's actually one question that I had. Or I'm just going to throw this out here, just get a census. The 21st, thank you. With Patreon, you kind of have to report that to the government, right? Because, like, they're going to send you an invoice. So, isn't it plausible that he's going to have to report some of that? Or there's definitely a paper trail for that? Like, the tips, I could kind of see how he might be getting away with not claiming everything. But I would assume with Patreon, he has to speak up on that. His schedule, or why he clings to it like a bitch, is one, Phil doesn't have any, okay, how do I word this? Phil doesn't think like the normal person, which is obvious. I think we all understand this and we all know this. But, what happens is Phil, surprisingly enough, needs to have a very rigid schedule that he has to adhere to, right? Like, if there's any type of break, or if there's any type of differential, or if a wrench gets thrown into it, if you so to speak, he can't function. Like, he's not versatile. He's not flexible. So everything needs to be as planned and go as planned. If not, everything falls apart. Perfect example: the tip goals. The tip goal itself, right, or the stream goal, or whatever you want to call it, in the different variations that it's had over the last couple years. He set that up with the idea that every day I need this amount of money. And based on that amount of money, whether it goes to WWE champions, whether he's buying shit off Amazon, whatever the case may be, he plans around that. And here's where the problem comes into play, and it kind of contradicts the statement. If he makes over the amount, there is no money being banked away or put into the bank or stashed away or whatever. It just gets spent with the initial amount. If he doesn't make enough, then we got to bitch and complain about how you guys didn't come through. Why don't you guys like this game? Am I not, entertaining you guys? Why aren't you guys supporting? And then we're sending these SOSs out on Twitter, which is even more pathetic because he told us maybe 8 months ago, if not longer, he wasn't going to do that. We're not going to do these SOSs for the whale calls or the piglet calls or the Captain Save-A-Hose on Twitter no more. Now we're doing it more and more frequently, and he's trying to hide behind it. He's trying to hide behind the concept that, hey, we're having a great stream, but I wish people would support or drop by and give me some support or whatever the case may be. But most of the people who don't support him on stream are going to Patreon, like I spoke about earlier. They're contributing their little bit there. What he's trying to do is recoup people who used to give him a lot of money on Twitch to come over. Most of those people already have. You just can't justify tipping him those large amounts of money over and over and over again. It doesn't make a whole lot more sense. These are the people who try to keep him propped up on Twitch and, more importantly, try to give the illusion that he actually had a community, right? That's what the whole gifted subs is about. You know what I'm saying? Oh, all these people who come in have gifted subs. Oh, look at how big our community is. But if gifted subs or gifted memberships or whatever comes to YouTube, he's definitely not going to have the advantage that he had on Twitch, or at least the illusion that there's a lot of people here, because he's already cut the detractor dollar out, or the detractor presence, the troll presence, whatever. He's already cut all of that out. So he's already hobbled himself, if you will, as it pertains to that. And more importantly, even though he'll get more of the money on YouTube, or at least I believe he will, it still doesn't matter because there's still not enough justification to give him that amount of money. Whereas with Twitch, it probably made a little bit more sense. At least that's the way I see it. I mean, I'll have to take some time to actually think about it a little further, but I think that's what the general concept is. He's just someone who, he's just very rigid in his thinking. Like, let me give you another example. He'll take something as, all right, Phil, I'll see you tomorrow, as a promise. Like, that right there is a promise. That's you saying, you promised me that you're going to show up. Let me give an example. Let's pick somebody randomly out of here. All right, Lewis. So that's like if Lewis says, all right, man, I'm going to catch you on the next stream and whatnot. And then I do the next stream and he's not there. And then I go into a fucking rant on why he didn't show up because I took that as a promise. It's just something that's to be said. It's no big deal. Hey, man, I'll see you next time. So on and so forth. It has no more bearing or any more value than that. Let me give you another example. When Phil, we got another marathon, right? A begathon coming up. Am I not correct on that? And the point of this is to give him more money to play a game that he's already playing. Why isn't the marathon for like Street Fighter or something? Like, let's have a marathon of 30th anniversary, or let's just have a fighting game themed marathon instead. What are we doing? We're doing Fallout New Vegas. He wants people to, they already contribute. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So how much does he want though? Probably he wants 2,000 plus. It doesn't even, well, actually, that's a great point. If the goal is 2,000, he's only really expecting to get half of it, which he might only. The Begathon is on Saturday. Who's restreaming that? If anybody knows, just out of curiosity. I would assume Ann Lee's doing it, or maybe Agent Proper if he's available. Maybe James the Lesser if he's around. Is anybody restreaming it at all? Yeah, that YouTube audit is coming. Audit is coming, by the way, eventually. Oh, Proper said he would. Okay, excellent. Okay, I might try to drop by. No promises, of course. I might try to drop by. Okay, Agent Proper, you're doing it? All right, sweet. What time does it start, if you don't mind me asking? Oh, well, never mind. He's starting at his usual time. He's going to end at his usual time with what? An hour break and then a bunch of 30-minute breaks or 20-minute breaks. So same shit, different day, basically. Like last time where he got $3,000. Yeah, he asked for $3,000 last time, but he only got $1,300. And he was okay with it. Which is funny because leading up to that, he said he really needed this money. He really needed them to hit that marathon goal. And when he didn't, he was okay with his $13,000 and he just scurried away. Which most people think it was just like play money for him anyway. You know what I'm saying? It was just money he was going to fuck around with. Which is also funny too, because didn't he tell us that he wasn't going to do emergency streams anymore? Or he wasn't going to do special marathons for every little thing because then it wouldn't be special anymore, and yet we're still doing it. Imagine that. Fucking imagine that. 1600. Oh, true. That's right. Sorry, my bad. He said that he wanted $3,000 because he wasn't sure if he was going to get paid by Twitch, right? And that's what justified it. And then he made the 1,300, but the morning of, he had put that that post out on Twitter that he did actually get it. Yeah, that's true. You can't hold TSP to shit. Okay, touche. I still think, I mean, Only Iced Coffee though is, watch that shit turn into a deep op sooner than later. Sooner than later. I don't know that to be sure. I'm just speculating, but it seems fishy, like he's trying to play both sides. Like he's trying to play both sides. Oh, sorry. So back to the Begathon. Okay, so he wants, let's say $2,000, let's say $3,000, whatever the case may be, to play a game that he's already playing. So we're doing all this to play, what is it again? We're playing Fallout. Why? You're already playing Fallout. So is he doing a marathon for Fallout so he can try to breeze through the game, and then that's it? We can go ahead and make space for like new releases. But then also, I think someone might have mentioned it early on. Is he going to quit MLB? So that might be a thing as well. Sorry for the dead air. But anyway, we're doing a marathon. Well, like I said, what's the point? Like it should have been a day of Street Fighter. If he did, I think whatever he asked for, he was going to ask for, I should say, he might actually get it, and it would be actually way more entertaining. But then he has to let the trolls in too. He has to let the trolls in the chat. So we'll have to see. Okay, let's see. What do I think? Do I think his reign will end on YouTube? I think regardless of the fact, I think as long as there's someone stupid enough to give him money, he'll keep doing it. But yeah, I think his run is over. His run is over on YouTube. Unless someone really wants to come through and support him on a regular basis. But who has the money to do that? But essentially, he dies here. Well, sorry. Darkside Phil, DSP Gaming dies on YouTube. As it should, to be honest. In Minecraft, of course. But yeah, I think his reign ends here. Because even if he goes back to Twitch, and even if he gets affiliate, it'll never be the same. He's going to be gone for way too long. It'll take too much time to have the momentum. And the way Twitch is cracking down on a lot of the nonsense and the bullshit over there, he'll never have it as good as he did until he got demonetized. Which is even more ironic because he bitches and complains about how Twitch was so rough on him and how it was such bullshit, but then he says, oh, well, the money was so good, and you know, I'm used to having this amount of money coming in each and every month to cover my bills and cover my expenses, and YouTube was kind of just padding, and the tips were great. But then, wasn't it on Twitch when he was telling us that he couldn't make, he barely had enough money for groceries, Jasper was damn near starving, you know, all of that. You know what I'm saying? All the overdrafts and all this, but then we were making thousands upon thousands of dollars. Go figure. What's the deal with the 10-year plan? Okay, so when Darkside Phil went to, that was April of 2019, when him and Catherine went to Connecticut to get married. Which, sorry, the original story was Mommy and Daddy Burnell were dying. They were dying, and they wanted to see him meet. They wanted to see their son for the last time and meet Catherine. That ended up morphing into, oh, well, we're going to go and get married. And it was a secret. We didn't want to tell nobody. On top of that, he had 2 fundraisers leading up to that, right, to raise money. Because he said that the week he was going to be gone, he wasn't going to make any money on Twitch, which was going to screw him over. And then we still had taxes. I think it was. We still had taxes that we had to pay for. So anyway, he goes to Connecticut. His parents give him basically an all-expense paid trip. He gets married. They offer him money for a honeymoon, but he says he turned the money down because he wouldn't be able to go on the honeymoon. But his mom still gave him money. and they sit him down, or his mother sits him down. At first he says he spoke to his parents, but really he just sat down with his mom, which the more he talks about that situation, it makes me think that his parents are separated, but I have no proof on any of that. It's just the way he words it. His mother sits him down and he's like, hey, you can't do this for the rest of your fucking life. You're going to have to make some serious changes. What is your plan? And they supposedly came up with this 10-year plan where he was going to basically let the condo in Connecticut go into foreclosure. He was going to come back to the state of Washington, increase his begging until he could get himself from under this financial rut, and then get himself a part-time job. And basically acclimate himself into being, a fucking productive citizen. Now, it was a while ago, so most people may not remember what my hot takes was on that. But so I'll bring it up for you guys now. The first part of that 10-year plan was the 10-year plan is definitely not happening. The first part of that 10-year plan is I think he was waiting for his parents to die out. I do believe that his parents may be ill. It's possible they have medical issues. They're getting up there in age. I think one thing he was doing is he was waiting for his parents to die out. I know that's really fucked up to say, but I'm going to be honest with you. The second thing, though, ladies and gentlemen, is I think he's banking on the money that's the equity that's in his home in Washington. In 10 years, he's going to drum up quite a bit of money. Remember, he bought it in 2014. He's put, even up to now, he's probably put a decent amount. But then again, I can counter my own point by saying, look at the condo in Connecticut. And he lived in that bitch for how long? And he bought it for 125,000. And when the thing went into foreclosure, he still owed 100,000 plus on it, despite the many years he lived there. So make of that what you will. But he's still betting on the equity that's in his home. I think that's what he's doing, and he's waiting for his parents to kick the bucket. And so that's what I think the real 10-year plan was. He basically said what he needed to say to keep his mother happy at the end of the day. And while he's going through this transition, Mommy Brunell's still going to have to send him money, and he knows that. So all he did was say what he needed to say to keep the money flowing and to keep her off of his back. But realistically, he's waiting for them to croak, and then he has the money in his the equity in his home to back up on. That's just my opinion, of course. So I think that's what it is. And the scam that he laid on the fan base, or the fucking cucks, or whatever you want to call them, is, hey, better things are going to come along. I just need you guys to help me out. Oh shit, what's up, Raven? Matter of fact, Chris is in here too, actually. I think that's what the plan was. I think that's what his whole situation was. That's what the whole thought process is. I'm almost convinced on it. And like I said, if he's willing, and actually, Zach, you bring up a very good point. He may not actually have, not Zach, sorry, Bill, but he may not actually have any money in his. There's not a lot of money in his inheritance. He's given a lot of that up. He spent a lot of it, I should say. And then keep in mind, he has to split that inheritance with his cousin, with Melissa, because his parents formally adopted her. So, of course, she would have, there's going to be something there for her. And I think Phil knows that too. But I think Phil is banking on them having more money. He thinks they have more money than they probably actually do. And it's funny because Phil makes it sound like, oh, well, my parents aren't rich. I didn't come from crazy means, even though his stories in the past contradict that. But on top of it, didn't it come out like last year, I think in 2020, that there was like an uncle or some shit that came out of the woodworks and helped him pay off his taxes, or sent him a large amount of money to pay off taxes, or whatever the case may be, something along those lines. So where's that relative at? Why isn't that relative helping him out? And that's a direct contradiction to anything he said either. Oh shit, big ups, there's Sunspot. What's up, dude? And then you have, but then he's contradicting himself there too, because he said that he doesn't have rich relatives to back up on. Okay, it was a rich uncle. All right, cool, thank you. He said that he doesn't have rich relatives. He doesn't have people to lean on. So the 10-year plan was nothing more than a cash grab. I think someone found it. Yeah, I think Melissa kicked her addiction too. I think that was talked about a while ago, and she's like a counselor now or something. What's up, Zero? But he still takes a jab at her every once in a while too. And he says like, "Oh, I don't really talk to her. I don't really want to deal with her because I have my own issues." Well, everybody has issues, but that's your family though, no matter what. So there you go. Yeah. So the 10-year plan was just smoke and mirrors. It was never going to come through. Never going to come through. So yeah. So it was never going to come through. So rip to that. Let's see. What else do we have to clown him over? So tell me a little bit about this this breakdown he had last night, man. Like anybody have any particular hot takes, any retcons, anything like that? And while you're doing that, let me check out something real fast. Okay, let's see here. Okay, support on Twitch. Let's see here. Okay. Talking shit about Nintendo still. Oh, he's still talking about that nonsense on how he got fired from fucking Best Buy? He got fired because he tried to buy too much shit on his fucking on his employee discount for whatever that was even worth, and they let his ass go. But in actuality, though, he talked about it's in like an Ask the King or some shit where he talked about how another guy was like stealing shit and whatever. And I can't remember exactly how he explained it, but it had something to do with like stashing shit in the back room or something. And I think he may have tried to do something similar, or he was definitely on some shady shit for sure. And that's more than likely what ended up getting fired. I don't think we'll ever really know the truth though. But the guy has been either fired or pushed out of every job he's ever had. So that should tell you something. You know what I'm saying? Just like with Twitch, just like with Machinima, just like with Curse, he's always getting pushed out of a situation. He's always fired. That has to tell you, I mean, that tells you a bit about your personality. Or about his personality, I should say. Let's see. Yeah, he's never going to let go of Eva. He's never going to let go of that. They blackmailed him. They framed him. Is that what it was? It was a pig in the blanket. It was the ultimate cover-up. Darkside Phil was moving his way up to management, and that was it. Actually, now that I think about it, Phil would be terrible whether he was in management or even middle management. He'd never do it. He got a settlement from Best Buy. Did he really? Is that true? I mean, well, I'm gonna take you. Unless you're being sarcastic, I'm gonna take you at your word on that, agent. Did he really get a settlement? Settlement for what? I mean, did he say that he wrongfully got fired? His co-workers lined him up. Oh man. Yeah, he has no management skills at all, which is why him wanting a brick and mortar in an Italian restaurant, I should say, it'd fail within the first year or two, or he would bankrupt his parents in the process. The 24-hour stream thing, he could do it. He's just going to take more breaks. Eventually, he'll get pushed to it if he gets desperate enough. Because I see that the cowboy hat's back up, which what happened to the double vest? Why are we so desperate? We have to bring the cowboy hat out. And more importantly, his fan base should smarten up and be like, if you can get him to put on that cowboy hat, you guys can get that Sonic hat. And that's what people need to push for. Let's push for some Chris Chan shit. Let's do that. Well, speaking of which, we'll talk a little bit about Amber Lynn and that nonsense going on in just a second. Yeah, I think that restaurant would be trash. Well, here's the thing. Let's talk about the concept of him having his own restaurant. He has to first be able to hire people. And so you have to bring them in, you have to interview them, and then it would be smart if he actually had them cook something so he can get an idea of what he's presenting to his customers. That's the first thing. Secondly is he has to establish contacts with oh wow, did he? Okay. He fought the wrongful termination and he won a bit of change? No shit. You have a figure on how much he won? Just out of curiosity? Oh, he spent it all. Okay, well never mind. Then I guess that doesn't really matter. Yikes. Yikes. Oh, wait a second. Did he use that money? What tournament was that? That he actually was buying all that equipment for? Because I know Agent Proper, you're going to eventually go over it with your series, going over ECC 11, the one that he supposedly saved, and he ran that tournament. He didn't run it, but whatever. He actually co-ran it, I should say, but even then, his hooves wasn't in there as much as he says it was. I wonder how much of that money did he sink into that tournament. And keep in mind, ECC 11 was held at an arcade. It wasn't held in like a venue or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like in a ballroom at a hotel or something. It was just held at an arcade. And he spent a lot of money on dumb shit he didn't need to actually spend it on. Interesting. I have to think about. He actually won that though. Where did he get? I wonder who paid for him to. I wonder who paid for his lawyer in that. Well, mom and dad probably did. Oh, anyway, sorry. Back to my original point. So you got to interview people. You have to build. You have to find suppliers. Obviously, you have to build those type of relationships up. You have to advertise. You have to do a bunch of different things, ladies and gentlemen, that he's not willing to do for himself. Think about it. Darkside Phil has never been one to try to promote himself outside of his core audience. He had a bunch of opportunities to promote himself, to do sorry, not co-op, but it's kind of like that. Do collaborations, to cross brand, to go ahead and get into bed, quote unquote, with other studios and stuff like that for games, and he never did it. He had a chance to reach out to some of the actual game writers, even though he's been interviewed a couple times. He had a chance to reach out to some of the game publications, and actually, get some exposure doing that, and he won't do it. I saw Brittany's video where she talked about how Vegan Games wanted to do like a cross collaboration with him in like Call of Duty or something. I get what she's trying to say, but I think because Vegan Games has a lot of dirt on him for a lot of reasons. You got somebody who wished cancer on people and death and all kinds of other nonsense. He's fucking out there. I think honestly that would just bring a whole nother group of people to become detractors. I think that's what it would have turned into. To be honest, I think it would have hurt him more than anything, because Vegan Games doesn't even command the audience that he once did. You know what I'm saying? Which is why, to be honest with you, your sub numbers on YouTube don't mean anything. To be honest, you know what I'm saying? Most people who have 100,000 or more, depending on what they're doing, they only usually bring in like between 10 and 15% of their core audience anyway. It's when you're smaller, you'll match what your sub count is, but as you get bigger, it gets more and more difficult. Unless you really have gripping content, of course. Yeah, basically, you could say Vegan Games is the DSP of the fucking fitness community. But he's definitely on some shit that you wouldn't want to deal with, I don't think, to be honest with you. I mean, if to do that and to make it work, Darkside Phil needs to be able to capitalize off his infamy, and he's never been able to do that. He's never. Everybody else has. You know what I'm saying? Everybody else has been able to benefit, whether financially or otherwise, off his infamy, but he's never been able to do that, and that's important. You know what I'm saying? Because he never looked at DSP Gaming or Darkside Phil or anything as a brand. He just looks at it as it's just himself. And look at how he's kind of mutated and fell apart over the years. So the guy clearly doesn't give a shit about himself or his personal health, right? So how the hell do you expect him to give a shit about a brand? Which, when you really think about it, what the fuck was the point of you copywriting DSP Gaming or Darkside Phil, or trademarking, I should say? What was the point of doing any of that? It didn't mean anything. It only meant something to you. It was only something that it made him feel like he was even more legitimate. But it was a fool's errand. He spent all that money for no fucking reason. He spent all that money for no fucking reason. Okay, so, all right, real quick. Let's see. So, who do we want to talk about first? Amberlynn or Chantel? Let's talk about Chantel. So, Chantel thinks she's addicted to cocaine. Rip. Hopefully Tevin does a stream going over that shit. But, yeah, she thinks she's addicted to cocaine and she's eating edibles to try to offset it. Yikes. That's what happens when you make bad decisions, I guess. Not that I wish that on her. You know what I'm saying? She's probably not even addicted to it. She just thinks she is. But she does have a very addictive personality. So we'll see how that plays out for her. As it pertains to Amberlynn, what's Amberlynn doing? Oh, her and Becky are breaking up. Or they're broken up or whatever. And then eventually they're going to move out or whatever. The thing is, for Becky, who, yeah, she's an enabler, but I also feel like she's a victim too to some degree. I mean, you know, you're diabetic. You have to knock off a shitload of weight. And everybody knows that Amber doesn't like seeing any of her exes do well without her. I mean, so what is Amber going to even do? Is she going to move in with Destiny and Dana? How's that going to play out? She's going to pay all their bills to offset so she still has somebody with her? Who could say? But it's not paying off being a feeder right now, apparently. Unless you're Nick Avocado, then that's a whole different story in itself. Let's talk about some low tier God for a minute. He's still trying to campaign to get unbanned from the FGC. We'll see how that plays out. Java the Hutt. That's funny. That's not funny, sir. It is funny. I'm kidding. It is funny. He's still campaigning to get himself unbanned. Apparently, the June the King situation didn't really go anywhere, as I told you it wouldn't, to be honest. Yeah, he's gonna always be after June. He's gonna always be after June. That's never gonna change. That's never gonna change. He's gonna always be after that dude. Forever. Ever. He's gonna always be after June. To be honest with you. But what it did though too is, as I said a couple streams ago, he deleted something like 3 million. Well, he deleted 3 million views worth of videos. So something got him scared. Meaning low tier God. Something got him scared. But at the end of the day, it doesn't mean anything at all. To be honest with you, nothing's happened to him yet. I don't think anything will. Yeah, June brought himself a lot of attention. So it worked out. Let's see, what's with him in June? Okay, so when June the King did a documentary on him, like a small one, couple years back, like 2 or 3 years back, or the rise and fall of low tier God, or whatever the case may be. And it's a really good documentary. It has a lot of information in there. He has some people in the community that helped him out. It's a worthwhile watch, to say the very least. Apparently, well, not even apparently, low tier God tried to get that video taken down because it caught a lot of views really, really fast. But June was able to get it back up. After that, apparently low tier God waged a harassment campaign against him for like almost 2 years. Didn't get that ass banned off YouTube. Holy shit. Yeah. So yeah, he waged a campaign against him for 2 fucking years. So that's essentially what happened. And then in the it's like a 3 hour video or 2.5 hours where June goes over the whole situation. He brings some people in that used to be affiliated with Low Tier God. Too bad Ghostly. I really need to get in contact with Ghostly Wins because he follows the nonsense over there a little bit better, or at least he used to. He did like June the King did a 3 hour video going over the whole situation, all of the harassment, all of that, and it brought a lot of people out. Like Full Bender. I'm not sure if you guys remember who Full Bender was, but he had the Salt series where he would compare Low Tier God to DSP, and then he had found other people who were like massive fucking ragers in the gaming community, and he did videos on them. They're great if you ever get a chance to check them out. And Low Tier God had a beef with Full Bender for a long ass time, and eventually Low Tier God just gave it up because he couldn't do it. Let's see here. Yes, actually, very good. Okay, very good call, Bill. Yeah, Low Tier God did put a video out not long ago apologizing about all the nonsense that he had been doing. I don't know if he went into actual specification because I kind of listened to it in the background. But yeah, he did try to apologize to it. Yeah, I saw one of the troll channels for Low Tier God posted one of his gym videos, and yeah, he walking around on drumsticks and shit. Keep skipping leg day, man. It's not a good idea. Eventually, your legs aren't going to be able to carry the rest of you. Oh shit! And he cut out the part where he. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, good call, system. He actually doxed one of those guys or some shit, and then he cut it out of the apology video. So yeah, but the thing is, nothing was going to happen to Low Tier God anyway. If this was Twitch, it'd have been different, maybe, because Low Tier God's been kicked off of Twitch before, but on YouTube. It's just not a thing, bro. There's so much nonsense that goes on YouTube. It's not gonna work. My biggest thing with the June the King situation is that you're campaigning to have this guy deplatform, right? And I get that. You know what I'm saying? Low Tier Guy's a piece of shit. I get it. Then who's next? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, when you start going to this level where, okay, we need this dude to be deplatformed, then who's to say that Wings of Redemption, for example, who's to say that he doesn't have a case to have, I don't know, what's Lummox? He has, or Sean Ranklin, or whoever. How does he have a case that maybe he can have one of those guys deplatformed? Then you can throw DSP in there. If we deplatform DSP, how long until one of us are deplatformed, or all of us? You know what I'm saying? So you gotta have to take that into account, and you can make special concessions for it. But I'll answer that in just a second. Actually, you can make special concessions for it, but if we just start knocking people off just to do it, then we all are eventually going to go. Same thing with like the Gabby Hanna and Jesse Smiles situation, even though that's over now, supposedly, at least for Jesse's part. Everybody, they have a petition out there to get rid of Gabby Hanna. She's a fucking terrible fucking person. Absolutely. But if you deplatform her, then who's next? Look at James Charles and all the shit he's accused of, and he's still running around doing whatever. Yet again. Okay, let me answer this question. Who would you rather... Oh, sorry. Would you rather be Wings, Low Tier God, or DSP? Ugh. I choose Death. I know Death isn't an option, but I'd... Alright. Well, real talk. If I had to choose between the three... Yikes. DSP is clearly fucking out. Fuck. Between Wings and Low Tier God. Fuck, that's hard. Because Wings theoretically is salvageable. Like, if I had... Like, Wings is salvageable. Like, you can drop the weight. It's going to take some years to do it. But you can drop the weight. And he could theoretically salvage something. Low Tier God is... There's so much of a mess on that guy. It's kind of hard to... I'm going to have to think about that. Let's see. Low Tier God seems the most socially... yeah, like, I mean, from a tournament standpoint, or from people who've actually met him, they say he's a fucking easy dude to get along with. But his reputation, though, at least online, isn't the best. And some of that is trickled out in real life. You know You know what I'm saying? Like, people have gotten to the point where they look him up to where his jobs are and all the harassment shit. Which is the same thing that happened to Wings too, to be honest. It's just, I feel like Wings is more salvageable though. I feel like if I had to get stuck with one of the three, I would probably have to choose Wings. Because I know I can drop the weight, right? And I know I can, and you know what I'm saying, you open YouTube back up, right? And then you start reaching out to people. Like, here, let me actually try to lay this out. If I have to choose one, I'll choose Wings. If I choose Wings, first thing is drop the weight and actually document the shit. Let people know that you're actually doing this and you're actually going to stick with it. The next thing is start mending bridges. He's burnt some bridges, but at least some of those things can be mended. Start mending bridges. Start working your shit out with the guys in the FGC community and get shit squared away. Third, stop taking yourself so fucking seriously. You're at meme level shit here. You kind of have to deal with it until you've given people enough reason to take you seriously. And then either work out some type of deal with PKA where you can at least get some of the residuals that's owed to him. I think he says like 10 grand, or even be a reoccurring guest, if you will. I'm not sure if reuniting with PKA, because I feel like Woody would probably do it, because I think Woody sees the profitability in it. I think the other dude, I'm sorry, I can't think of the third guy's name. I think he don't care either which way. It's Kyle who's the problem. I think Kyle's the one that's not going to be. He's not going to agree to it unless he can literally rag on Wings for every little fucking thing. And I don't think Wings is strong enough for that. I'd be strong enough for it because I have it coming and I get it. I don't think Wings could do it unless Wings is willing to fight back. And if he's going to fight back, don't make it personal. Keep it, you know what I'm saying? Keep it tit for tat. Keep it banter. Don't make it personal. If you make it personal, it's going to be a problem. I don't know, man. I have my feelings about Woody. Woody's done. I know more about Woody's past, at least on YouTube. So he's done some really shady shit. And to be honest with you, I'm pretty sure I've said this, but I think Woody always had the plan for PKA to essentially go public, quote unquote, with all the sponsorships and everything. And I think he wanted to test Wings to see how dedicated he was going to be to it. Now, from a standpoint, I get it, because Wings has flaked out on some shows before. At the same time, you got big money that came in. Those guys are making like 6 figures a year or some shit. Some people say more than that, or upper 6 figures, I should say. I think at the same time, I think Woody knew he was going to flake. I don't think Kyle knew, but I think Woody knew he was going to flake on it. And based off that is the reason why they cut him out of that deal. Yeah, Kyle's pretty straightforward. I mean, he's a funny guy too, don't get me wrong. He's fucking hilarious. But I think, like, how long, like, okay, you had this dude come to your house, you had to remodel your whole fucking bathroom, which is fucking loyalty, dude. Like, Wings really fucked up with that. This guy brought you into his home, he at great expense to himself and his girlfriend and his roommate, and he tried to do the best he can for you, and then you flake out on him. Is that fucking wrong? Absolutely. How much is too much, if you will? And this is coming from an asshole who has done hours upon fucking, not even hours. Easily, I've got over 100 hours of fucking recorded shit on DSP. Easy. But how much, like, when's enough? Like, you know what I'm saying? I was never a DSP fan. I'm just someone that has an opinion. Win, lose, or draw. And you're welcome to shit on me or DSP, whatever your preference is. That's not going to stop me from doing what I'm doing, because I enjoy what I'm doing. And he has it coming. But if you're Woody, or not Woody, if you're Kyle, you actually had a relationship with this dude, which makes it even worse, because this is someone that you actually gave a shit about. When do we go ahead and be like, okay, I'm ready to let this go? I'm not saying you have to let it go and then bring him back on the show, or even, you know what I'm saying, or even try to rebuild your friendship or whatever the case may be. But when do you let bygones be bygones? When is that a thing? And I don't think Kyle's there yet. Now that we brought this up, about Kyle cannot own guns. that situation, yeah, with the marijuana thing, that's kind of lame that he got caught on that too. I'm curious on. I think the guy he bought it from maybe had him fucked. I don't know. That situation with Kyle's friend or his business partner, the guy who was actually able to procure all the firearms and shit, and he ends up getting killed or whatever and all that. That's wild. I honestly think Kyle had nothing to do with it, but I think there was something else. There's probably more to that situation than obviously any of us will ever know. You know what I'm saying? And that's certainly not something to have held over your head. But I don't think Kyle had that guy killed. Clearly, I don't see the point of that. But that guy was in on something. Who, not Kyle, but his partner was in on something. And either Kyle found out at the last minute, and he was lucky enough to dodge a bullet, or his partner owed a shitload of money to the wrong people. Because he was procuring the type of arms that it's like, well, shit, who does he know to be able to get that? You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, some of it. Like, some of that stuff you can kind of readily find if you want. But some of that shit, though, goddamn. And that's fair, too. What motive would he have? He was making... Those videos were incredibly successful. The FPS Russian videos, like, those were hella fucking successful videos. And a successful brand in itself. So, I don't know. But then again, why kill the business partner, though? Like, what is he really doing? But you never know. You never know. Holy shit, you never know. Let's see here. 10K to go back to PK. I mean, shit, I don't even think I really want to go back to 10K. I mean, I don't even know if I'd go back for 10K, but I would, if Wings feels that that's what he's owed, then so be it. And that's because the guy they brought in to replace Wings, he was there for a little while, and then they paid him out, but they didn't pay Wings. So, yeah, that's true. I mean, and to be honest with you, for 10K, Wings is selling himself short. Let's see. How did I first get into the detractor content? I started watching Almighty Tevin, Theo, and Argent. And after I watched quite a bit of that, actually, and then I ended up watching a channel called Marcus Daily Productions, and then from that, Mr. Huff Stuff, then from that, Snorpernell, then from that, David Davison, and it kind of trickled. And what happened was I was watching, I think I was listening to an Almighty Tevin video, and after that finished, it auto-played into like something more recent, and I was like, yeah, I've got something to say about that. So I just like quickly like threw a video together, essentially. And that's pretty much how it started. And then I had a bunch of friends who come by a lot, and so they would like kind of like help me pick videos, and then, you know what I'm saying, and they would like kind of just sit in the back chilling and shit as I went ahead and recorded or whatnot, and it just kind of became a thing, to be honest with you. So it was never out of any hate or malice. How did I first hear about this? I initially heard about Phil because I was following people in the FGC. So that's initially how I heard about him, because like there's a bunch of legends in the fucking FGC, right? Like Gutex, for example, for throwing his controller against walls and shit. Dudes picking fights with each other every time they lose, or just generally bad sportsmanship or whatnot. There's a bunch of different things if you want to look. Noel Brown and Bionic Punch, if you will. That's a legendary video. That shit made it to World Star because of how savage that nonsense was. Just a lot of shit. And DSP's name kind of came up. And after that, coming to YouTube, then that's how essentially you found Tevin, you found a bunch of those dudes, and then you kind of went from there. Yeah, that's another thing. I did a video on that, actually. Dark Prince was, DSP got accused of bringing a knife into Evo, and it wasn't him. It was a guy by the name of Dark Prince. He's a West Coast player, or he was, and he was a protege of a Marvel 2 player, a legendary Marvel 2 player by the name of Duck Doe. He used to run, I should say, I don't know if he still plays like that, but he runs a team called Team Scrub, which is Cable, Sentinel, Captain Commando. No, my bad. It's not Team Scrub. Sorry. He has his Team Doe. It's named after him. It's shit. I should know this. It is Spiral, Cable, Sentinel. My fault. Oh, and he's known for being in big money matches. Dark Prince. He was in a lot of big money matches and a big and some huge grudges and shit. Let's see. Did you say when you? Yeah, I have some older siblings that were really into the FGC and shit, and into fighting games in general, or at least they liked following the FGC or whatever. And yeah, they were big into fighting games and whatnot. So that's just kind of a thing. I got beat up a lot. I still do. But it is pretty fun, though. Yes, I have heard Jaha's confrontation with Phil. I have. I mean, you got to understand, though, too, like, back in those days, you know what I'm saying, at least from what I've read, I mean, that was kind of it was a very cliquish time, if you will. Would I ever stream? Maybe. I might. It depends. I guess it depends on what the game is. I do want to try to play Street Fighter 6 if it does come out. We'll try to. I might try to do that. But yeah, Dark Prince though was, who's also, like I said, a Marvel 2 player. Yeah, he was in a bunch of drama back in the day, man. He started a lot of shit with a lot of people, and he had a little crew too. And they were some rough dudes. They weren't really much to play with. So. And there's a bunch of rumors about him too, like they went to a tournament or whatever. They had a beef. Supposedly a gun was brought out, and cooler heads prevailed. It's all a rumor though, but there was a lot of rough shit that happened, for sure. Any interest in Tekken? Yeah, actually, to be honest with you, and whatnot. Tekken's certainly fun. Like, you know what I'm saying? I mean there's actually quite a few people in the Detractor community who play. Secret Limited, or formerly known as The Secret Life of DSP plays. Sunspot Gallery plays. There's a few other people that play too. The dude who misspoke, because I misspeak a lot, so I get it. The guy who misspoke about the DSP and Dark Prince thing, it was an easy thing to happen. To be honest, because to be honest with you, to a young dude like him, he doesn't know much about anything outside of what was told to him. And there's a bunch of fucking stories out there in DSP when it comes to the FGC. There's a shitload of them. So it would have been easy to mess that up, and that no one talks about Dark Prince like that. He was almost like a taboo for a really, really long time. Yeah, Duck Doe's one of the gods. He's one of the 5 emperors now, but he's one of the 4 emperors because he's won 2 Evo Marvel tournaments. Then obviously it's Justin Wong. Then it's IFC Yipes. Then it's Sanford Kelly. Hold on, there's somebody else I'm missing. No, maybe not. Maybe it's not 5 gods. Maybe it isn't 5 gods. Maybe it's 4. Maybe it's 4. Yeah, because it's Justin, it's Duck Doe, then Justin, then Sanford, and then Yipes. Because Sanford's last because he won the last like major Marvel tournament, and that's what gave him Emperor status. But I think those are the only guys who have ever won a Marvel Evo, or an Evo at, a Marvel tournament at Evo. It's only those guys. It's only those 4. Yeah, I think it's only those 4. Because I think Duck Doe has 2 wins. I think Justin has like 6 or 7 wins. Yipes has a win, and then Sanford has a win. So that's your 4 emperors. Oh, let's see here. Yeah, Smooth Viper was kind of... I mean, Smooth Viper, Executioner, Demon Ho, who else? There's a bunch of... Remix, Mix Up. Remix is, I think, was... I think Remix was New York. I think Mix Up is Florida. Actually, I think Phil played. I think Phil played Mix Up. I think. Hold on a second. I think he. Okay, yeah. So I am right. It is okay. So it is Mix Up because yeah, Remix passed away. He was affiliated with Empire Arcadia. Yeah. Damn. Let's see. Yeah, the FGC ended up going the way it did, which is the reason why Mike Ross left, is because it became too esports, if you will, and you know, they wanted to bring the money in and they wanted to bring more exposure, and Capcom Cup was kind of one of the big ways of doing that, and it kind of lost a lot of the flair, if you will. But then again, though, too, there was a bunch of allegations going on too about like allegedly. Keep in mind, like some guys got drunk in some hotels, got a little rowdy with some of the females. There was a bunch of collusion, allegedly, as it pertains to tournament brackets. There's all kinds of silly shit that was going on. To be honest with you, there was a lot of shit going on, and I think that was one of their ways of trying to clean it up. Now, Phil wouldn't have invested in crypto. He doesn't invest in anything. That's why that dude don't own nothing. He doesn't invest in anything, sadly. Talk about Sherry getting passed around. The word has it that some of the top guys, a lot of guys in the FGC got a piece of that. There's a funny video out there. I think it's one of the it's like an FGC Salt video where she's at a party and she's sitting down flirting heavily with a guy named Unknown, Marvel 3 player. I think he's out of Maryland, or he's part of the Maryland crew. This is after he had made a name for himself, and they were sitting on the couch, and that shit looked like it was going to turn into something. And then once they realized the camera, yeah, there we go. And then once the camera realized they were on it, they tried to play that shit off like nothing was going on. That shit was funny. That shit was funny. But sorry. But Sherry allegedly, keep in mind, Sherry was allegedly they said she was a groupie, and she kind of got passed around back in the day. So some big names have had their hands on that. Supposedly. Oh yeah. Oh, the camera's on, huh? The camera's on the entire time, right? Hello. Oh shit. I mean, don't be wrong though too. She's an actual. She can play. You know what I'm saying? She can actually play the game as well. She's actually pretty decent, to be honest with you. Interestingly enough, we just talked about Low Tier God. Does anybody remember Broly Legs? Of course, most of you guys might. Broly Legs actually got upset on Twitter some time back that Sherry got picked up for a team and he didn't. And if you know a little bit about Sherry, she also has like promotion and marketing skills too. Like the young lady's versatile in more ways than one, from what is said. And yeah, well, okay. Unknown wasn't always the dude who dropped combos. Yeah, it wasn't always like that. He used to be clean with his shit. His setups were kind of shaky at first, but he could finish strong. But he did drop some combos, I'm not gonna lie. But yo, he had his Sea Viper was crazy back in the day though. He had a really great Sea Viper. And he was the same dude too that he used to pop off a lot, and he used to get up in people's face and shit and act like he wanted to fight him. Like that was unnecessary, but it got him a name, to be honest. I'm not sure if anybody remembers Ray Ray from New York. He was part of the New York squad. He grinded for a long time. He had like Ryu on his team, and he was a really good player. And then he ended up dropping the weight and shit. He was suave as fuck for a while. You know what I'm saying? And he was doing really well too on the tournament scene. and when I always wanted to see him go far at an Evo. This channel is hard to find. Is this the Secret Fight Club channel? It's the Secret Fight Club streaming channel, I should say. Filipino Champ. Filipino Champ was like the ultimate bad guy. Oh yeah, oh my god, it's Andre. Yeah. Now, I'm wondering, is that the same Andre who got caught up on the... I'm gonna have to look. I'm wondering if that's the same Andre that ended up dropping from the community. Is that the same Andre that was part of oh my god. He was on that team. Yeah, there you go. Ray, well, my bad. Ray, yeah, he was the one with the Magneto. His Magneto was clean as shit too. His Ryu though was a closer. And everybody used to tell him you should switch to Akuma, but he stayed with Ryu and he made shit happen. Oh my god, it's Andre. Is he the guy that was on the same team? I think he was. I'm pretty confident. Fuck. I'm not sure now. Because there's like two Andres around that time. There was the one that used to be part of Empire Arcadia. And he actually went ahead and joined with IFC Yipes, and they had like a brand where they were selling clothes and shit. Or they were selling clothes for, or they were partnered with, and then they had like a series on YouTube where they were doing videos. And then there was another Andre who had glasses, and he was beefing with Unknown for a while. I can't remember which one it is now, though. Holy shit. Okay, no, it's not that Andre. Okay, cool. Yeah, because one of those guys got caught up in some shit. I'll say that. Okay, yeah, the dude with glasses. Yeah, him and Unknown were beefing with each other for a minute. And I remember watching the video. Unknown ended up popping off at him at a tournament and shit, and they were like, he was up in dude's face, and he's like, you can get knocked the fuck out right now if you really want this. Oh, and it's stuff like that people, yeah, that's true. Good call, Raven. That's true. Holy shit. I'll tell you, like, if you ever get a chance to go back, because that's where I watched a lot of this stuff, go back and watch. If you can get a chance to watch like the Street Fighter 4 era, you'd be surprised, man. There's a lot of stuff out there. Actually, you know something that kind of got on my nerves a little bit as it pertains to Street Fighter 5. Oh shit, there's Paul. What up, Paul? Is Punk. I'm sure you guys know who Punk is. He was on top of the Street Fighter 5 community for a long time. Good player. When he used to talk all that shit, he used to do all that trolling, he used to do all that teabagging and shit, right? And then he would and then when he lost that Evo to Taquito and he cried on stage, I was like, no, you don't get to do that. I understand that you want it and you want it bad, but you don't get to do that. Not after all the shit talking you did and whatnot. That just it made him look vulnerable in a way that was unfavorable. I thought it was just no. I mean, I hear he's cool people and shit, but yeah, when he cried up there on stage, I was like, you're on stage. It was Taquito. Like, what did you expect? And even though people are like, oh, he has a fair chance against Taquito, come on, bruh. I'm not saying it was going to be a wash, but I'm saying that it was Taquito. You know what I'm saying? That's Taquito. So, I don't know. It's like that that episode of the Boondocks where what's his name? The neighbor, the one that's the lawyer. Fuck. What is your name? Someone knows it. Anyway, the guy who's the neighbor, the guy who's the neighbor across the street, right? And he thought his wife was sleeping with Usher. And he's like, yo, man, and Riley's like, hey, what do you want me to tell you, man? Like, that's Usher, dude. You know, if you got your chick taken, you got to sit there and take it. It's Usher. You know what I'm saying? I always thought about that meme when you think about that situation. Holy shit. But yeah, it was Taquito. Like, fuck, bruh. It was Taquito. I wouldn't be surprised by that. I wouldn't be surprised by that. And don't get me wrong though, too, man, because like I understand him wanting to win that Evo. I get it, but don't do that. Don't cry on stage, bro. Like, don't do that. I get it. It's supposed to convey how bad he wanted it, but don't do that. So that's a thing. That is a thing. Oh, and as it pertains to Taquito too, I think I've talked about this on one of the past streams. Phil never had a chance in hell of beating that guy. Taquito was always better than he is. From all the old videos that I've seen, nah, Taquito always had him washed. Always. Always. Like, you know what I'm saying? You know, if DSP was good locally, so be it. But when you start getting into a nationwide type thing, and then you start getting into international, nah, that wasn't gonna work. That wasn't gonna work at all. Let's see. All right, people. I'm gonna go ahead and I will cut you guys loose and whatnot. Appreciate you guys all coming out and so on and so forth. Like I said, I'm surprised a bunch of you guys found me, but thank you guys for showing up. Big ups to everybody. Big up to everybody who came through. Yeah, like I said, they're like them West Coast guys. Like those West Coast guys were. It is what it is. And then here's the thing though too. He keeps talking about how the West Coast guys had advantages and that the East Coast people didn't have, and so on and so forth. When he says something like that, he doesn't. It's to cover up his own failure. And you're welcome, man. Thank you. Like I said, thank all of you guys for showing up and coming out. I appreciate it. He talks about when he says that the West Coast people had advantages that they didn't. He's not only trying to cover up for his own inability to do well, but he's undermining his own coast. It is what it is. And absolutely, he cheated hard. Well, he had a lot of advantages when it came to that shitty port of Street Fighter, and he still fucked up, and he still failed. You know what I'm saying? That's your own fault, man. That's nobody else. That's your own fault for failing like that. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. And Taquito came in and washed your ass, and that's what he was supposed. And that's what's supposed to happen. You had all that time and all those advantages, and you blew it. Let's see. When am I coming back to Twitter? Soon, I hope. Soon, I hope. I don't want to have to make another account. I want my old account back, or I want access to my old account, I should say. But they want me to change a couple of things. Do you think he hates all Asians? I think he holds a fucking grudge. I think he holds a grudge against Asians, yeah, to be honest. It's not for a good reason though. Just like how he holds a grudge against African Americans. Just like he holds a grudge against anybody. You know what I'm saying? But I think he does have like a deep-seated hatred against Asians, which doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Nothing comes out of it. Oh shit, big ups to James Lesser. I appreciate that. Good shit. Yeah, especially the Japanese. Especially the Japanese. So, and like I said, it's hatred for the sake of hatred. You don't call yourself the king of hate for no reason. You know what I mean? You don't call yourself the king of hate for no reason. And anybody who he feels who has an advantage on him, or who has special concessions, or whatever the case may be, it's just the way he acts. That's why he ended up. I mean, that's the reason why he kind of alienated himself in the FGC. As we were talking about earlier, about those West Coast guys having all these advantages and the East Coast guys didn't. What about the guys in the Midwest? What about the guys in the South? You know what I'm saying? Like, they all had a shitload of disadvantages from what I've seen. And you don't see them bitching and complaining about it. You work hard. You work harder. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing that he don't like. He thinks that everything should be a level playing field, and a win's a win. And that's not how that works. No one's going to ever have a level playing field. You know what I'm saying? You'll always have to work twice as hard or 10 times harder than the next guy. And to be honest with you, that builds character. Because if everything's always passed to you, then what's the point? You have nothing to strive for because it'll always be there. And that there's no growth. You know what I'm saying? So even if, as the concession goes around a little bit, that, you know, DSP has a level of talent to him or whatever, he didn't do anything to craft it. He didn't do anything to shape it or mold it into what it could have been. He tried to, it's almost like if you, I won't call it raw talent, but it's the equivalent of him trying to just ride off of raw talent. And he never did anything with it. So he failed himself. He kind of failed himself twice, if you think about it. You were given, supposedly, this God-given talent, and you didn't do anything with it. Because practice. We talk about practice. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And I fuck with Allen Iverson like that. You know what I'm saying? But just imagine Allen Iverson with Kobe's level of dedication to practice. Or Jordan. Just imagine what Allen Iverson could have been. I'm not saying that he could have won a ring. He was close once. But I'm not saying he may have been able to win a ring off of it, but God-given talent only gets you so far. And DSP has never seen that. Or he doesn't understand that. Yeah, well, I mean, DSP's mindset to anything and everything is unhealthy. It's completely unhealthy. From how he views people, to how he views life, to how he's interacted with his relationships with friends and lovers or whatever. His whole outlook on life is warped in a way that I don't think anybody will ever explain. Not fully. You can always get a hot take from it, but other than that, and his business sense and business acumen, he doesn't have any. Period. And God bless Britney. Because Britney's dropping fucking pearls in front of his dumb ass. But he'll never be able to pick any of them up. He'll never be able to pick any of them up. He just won't understand. He can't understand. So that's the thing. All right, guys. Like I said, let me let you go. I try to do these once a week. I usually try to shoot for Tuesdays. We'll see how that goes and whatnot. And like I said, hopefully I'll see you guys next week. There shouldn't be any issues or anything like that. And we'll pick up whatever drama has happened over the weekend. We'll bring them up as talking points. And hopefully videos for the second channel should come out soon. Having some small issues with the first channel, which is the reason why you haven't seen any content. That and I was on a bit of a break. So once that's squared away, you know what I'm saying, that should be a thing too. Alright guys, let me go ahead and play this out for you. And like I said, when the video comes out, I'll leave the links to the songs in the description so you guys can check that out. And like I said, thank you guys for all coming out. I very much appreciate it. Big ups. Later.